I can't hear you guys. Are you talking to me? Oh, are you there?
Yeah, Jessica, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Yep. We just start starting. Charity's getting the.
Okay.
floor.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. No.
Okay, I'm here. Sorry. Just trying to do too many things at once. I'm pulling up the agenda on my phone real quick.
I've got it on the screen shared as well.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so we can call the meeting to order. We'll do a roll call, please, Jessica.
Yes. Trustee Robinson,
Here.
Trustee Giroux,
Here.
Trustee St. Germain, Trustee Erbst,
Here.
Trustee Pomponio.
Here.
Okay, we'll do the flag salute. Everybody could stand. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Can we have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any public input for today?
No, there is not.
Okay. Then moving on to our discussion item, the Timberline School Classroom Build.
Okay, so gathering you guys today, the main goal here is to whether we pursue, go ahead and get ready to open or let bids, or what our next step is. So I have Jerry Brotnov on here, who is our architect, and he can probably take the floor a little bit with this, but we have some proposals, and you guys have all seen the floor plan, and I can display that here in just a second when we're talking about it, and also the estimate. So there's a couple of options we're looking at, and then we'll go through some discussion on that. So Jerry, if you want to chime in and maybe field some questions and give us kind of an overview of what your design is and some of the estimates. And you're currently muted.
Yeah, there we go.
There you are.
Okay, perfect. Hi, I'm Jerry Brotnov. I'm an architect. I'm in Clarkston, Washington, but I'm licensed in Washington, Idaho, and Oregon. I've been in business since 1996. I've done several different classrooms. I've done a lot of work for Head Start. But getting to your classroom, where we're at right now is we've done a preliminary design, and well, we wrestled around with the design here and there. So I think we're pretty much settled down on a layout. I've prepared an estimate of cost for the building. I've also sent this out to Barlow Trust to kind of get us, and they've got back to me with some preliminary layouts for the roof and for the floor joists. So anyway, where we're at right now is, or what needs to be done next is to finish design, put it out to bid. Depending on how we can deliver the project, we will have to get the state of Idaho building inspector on to review the plans and everything. So what I've done so far is I've worked off just a kind of a little proposal I sent to Mike for $3,500 to kind of put this information together there. We probably spent a little more time than that on it, but anyway, we know that you guys need to get something put together pretty quickly here. So the next step is to hire an architect. Depending on how you want to do this, you can go out for RFQ, or depending on how your hiring practices are, or you can hire me directly, depending, just letting you know there's different various options on how to procure an architect. Anyway, so we're ready to go forward if you want to go forward, and I can prepare a contract and send that up to you to look at. or however you want to proceed. So I'll leave it. I'll send it back to you guys for questions. So.
Yeah, so if you guys have questions, he's the guy to ask on this. Again, one of the things, moving forward on this classroom build, it's how much are we wanting to spend or how much can we spend, and, looking at doing part of it, all those different options. It all comes down to financials, obviously, and time. So we just need to have that discussion and see where you guys stand with that. And really, like I said, what I'm after is, do we move forward with, getting ready to let bids, or do we need to do more work on the drawing board? So leave it up to you guys for now to have some discussion.
So if we do decide to go out for bid, we have to hire an architect for it. Is that right? And that's part of the bid here. Is that right? Is that design there?
It's right now, I just prepared an estimate of the design costs. I'm not a contractor that can actually build the project, but
I understand.
So what I did is did my best effort to put together an estimate of costs. I know we went through several rounds and it's been fairly expensive, the way the bidding climate is right now. But normally what we would do is we could either go with a traditional design, a build, where we go out and seek, a full cost, bottom line bid. Or, this is a pretty simple project, and we can talk about it a little bit more, but we could seek out individual bids too, and sort of a modified project management delivery system. So anyway, I'm not sure that school districts can do that or not. So anyway,
Well,
but
Sorry. That was actually one of my questions for both you and for Mike. This is Charity Robinson. I haven't done a project like this since being on the board for a long time, actually. And with so many different types of contractors involved, we usually put a bid out for a particular project involving one type of contractor, and then we take the best bid. And I'm not sure with this kind of project how that works. If we can do, like, if we have to hire construction, plumbing, electricity all separate, or if there's an ability to do it as one project.
Wouldn't we get a general contractor?
So there would be basically a general contractor that would be permitted to
They
be
do
able
all
to do
that.
civil, state, state buildings. I can't remember what the right term is, but then they can
Public works
public works. That's what I was trying to think of. So
Yeah.
a public works contractor has the appropriate license. Most local contractors do not have that license, but they can work under a general public works contractor. So, obviously we'd like to keep it as local as possible and do everything we could with all of our local contractors. But I know a lot of them are busy. I can't speak for them and what they want to do and whether they would want to bid on it. I think with our time frame, looking at trying to complete it by the, over a short 3-month period in the summer, you're going to probably want to put all your eggs in one basket and try to get it done. Somebody that has some connections, it gets difficult with the smaller contractor sometimes.
But the plans have to be approved by the state first before we can
Yeah.
put it out for bid. How long does that take?
When I talked to the state, they said that they would, put us right in, and basically within a couple of weeks was their,
That sounds
they said we can do it
reasonable.
within a couple of weeks. But, if they don't have too many that are going through and we want to try to rush it, I think they seem like they were willing to work with us on it. So
How long and how far do we have to advertise for bids? How's that process work for us?
So we don't have any limitations in our policy that I know on
There's
Idaho
none.
code. We have, if you're less than 100, if you're 99,000 or less, you have to do bids according to our policy. So, hiring, for example, an architect, when you look at like the estimate for an architect and engineer, I think you had 41,000 or something like that in there. We could go ahead and contract that just through us with approval. And the policy actually gives me the authority to do that, but obviously the board, I'd like to have on board with that. And then we could have, basically if we hire Jerry, he could kind of forward all that stuff. He could be the front person on all that and help organize and put those bids out and all that, get ready for it.
correct. Yeah, there's kind of two parts. We have to do, we got some homework to do real quick here to get this thing ready to go to bid. However, I think it can come together pretty quickly. So we're probably talking, for me to get things lined up here, we're probably talking a real hard 2-3 weeks to kind of get things done. And then we need to put it out for bid. And I think that we can structure the bid that, such that we can put people in touch with who we've worked with already. And, like Barlow, and then we can mention things like some of the donated materials that we're hoping to get. And, that's part of the next step is to kind of prepare what we can, I think Empire was willing to maybe look at a lumber package for us. And then maybe that could dovetail along with Barlow as well, because they're local too.
Right.
So there's some things that we can kind of state when we go out to bid, what's included, what's not included, and I think the important thing is to make sure those folks are on board with what we're asking them to do, or we're asking them to donate and that sort of thing. If there's people that are in the community, I know that we've talked about different concrete contractors that are, in the area. I think that those are people that we would put on our list to, as preferred local contractors, that, people that might be larger than this to do the work could employ anyway. And, there's a couple other questions on that we can go into more detail on. It's a bid bond is a bid bond, and a bond is construction bond is recommended. So they will, they're guaranteed to finish the project, or else the insurance company will come in and finish it for them. So those are some things that they add some cost to there, but they also add some protection for you too. So,
Okay.
but I'm open to anything that we can do. I know that we've got a short fuse, a short building period here. Part of me wants to go ahead and issue the concrete, package separately, so, and, the excavation and kind of get that kind of set in stone, so to speak. So, but we still have a little bit of work left before we can even do that. So.
So what work still needs to be done? Because my understanding is that the board needs to approve the final bid that goes out. And if that's not ready, then that we can certainly make some decisions about what goes into that final bid, but I don't think we can approve a bid unless it's ready to go out.
That is correct. We would put a building package together, ready to go bid that you could review, with drawings and specifications. And then we can get your approval, and then we have to advertise it, I think 2 or 3 times, and probably give them about, a 2-week bid period, 2 to 3 week bid period. So anyway, things have to happen kind of quick to make things happen. So
Correct. And we are limited on what we can accept. Like, we have to take the lowest bid regardless of kind of our preference or whether or not they accept. And I know that there are some exceptions to that, but by having state bids, we are very limited on what we can accept.
correct. I think you are limited to the lowest bidder.
We are.
Generally speaking, or unless you don't have to, but you got to be darn ready. You got to be ready to fight. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they're going to fight back too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, anyway, can you guys see me? Is my audio coming through?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Seeing audio.
So I guess
You almost had that right.
Audio, video.
Yeah.
I just realized I'm not on, am I? Do you want
No.
to see me or do you not care?
That's your call.
Okay. So I
Okay.
guess specifically, Mike, what do you need us to decide on tonight to allow this process to continue forward?
So really, I wanted you all in one place to hear your perspective on, moving forward with this and approval to move forward and, hire an architect and start that next phase. And once we start that phase, once we start that, then we can, once we get the final bid package done, well, then we'll reconvene and, approve that and then
Sure.
approve to let it out for bids. So that's kind of, we can do that pretty easily, I think, in a few weeks. So I'm hoping.
So for today, we need to make approval of the architect
Yep.
and contract. And we also probably need to decide if we're going to do the bid with the shell or the
Right.
completed bid,
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
Okay. Are there any other variables we need to decide on?
I've got some recommendations on that.
Okay,
If at all possible, my recommendation would be to build the shell and build 2 classrooms. And that's kind of what the latest estimate reflects. So the reason for that is, you can get it all done. And then if you want to do the other classrooms one at a time or 2 at, the other 2 that are remaining, you can certainly do that. But the basic, the roof is all it's all covered in, it's all weathered in. There wouldn't be anything in those other 2 classrooms. Each classroom is self-contained mechanically and electrically. And so they don't need to be, they can be added as needed. So, but I certainly think it would be nice to do all your excavation now, all your foundation work, and get that going. So, and then that way you can finish the other pieces at your leisure, so to speak. You just have to, hire, electric, for the remaining work. They just need to follow the plans and finish it up. So anyway, it's a lot simpler at that point in time for work that comes down after this initial effort. So
would there be, do you think, cost savings down the road by doing it that way?
I do think so. And the
Okay.
contracts, for one thing, would be smaller, and you could let individual contracts for, floor coverings, ceilings, finishes, and, or you could package up and, excuse me. Oh, there. Are you still there?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just thinking that might be a better way to do it. Although I'm open to just building 2 classrooms too. And then I just think that it's a lot simpler to get all that grading work done, your site's cleaned up, everything's kind of tidied up. And then it just becomes an interior, basically an interior remodel at that point. So, but did I communicate that correctly, or did you understand that?
You did. Yeah.
Okay.
And, just, that's one of the discussions I wanted to have. Getting the work and getting consistent work done is that'll be a challenge in the long run. It's certainly a savings up front, but I'm not sure about a long run. That's just my experience with, what we've been trying to do with contractors. It's a remote location and it's difficult. So I'd recommend if we, look at the package, look at the whole entire package, bid it all out, and then see if if it's way out of line. Is that something we consider? But at this point, I'd prefer to go if we could. But
so in the past, and Charity, I'm sorry I was late. This is Chris St. Germain. We have done an ad alternate, so maybe we could do an alternate of an alternative that only had the 2 classrooms and have the contractors bid accordingly. And I had a question for Jerry. Jerry, have you scooped this with any contractors that we know that are public works and working in this region?
Just vaguely.
Okay.
I haven't really sent it out yet because, we still have a few more decisions to make and that sort of thing. So, but I have, sent this out to Barlow to get us some, for a trust package to look at it. And they sent me a package back, and I can forward that to you. I haven't had time to review it, but it looks like what we talked about anyway. So, but I know that there's several people out here that I could recommend and give them an idea of what we could do. And I would suggest, we talked about ad alternates. I'm wondering if we do a base package of the shell and 2 classrooms and then do an ad for each of the other 2.
Yeah, that
then
was
they-
kind of my thought. Mhm.
Okay, great, perfect, because I'm thinking that I want to communicate that, you know, this is what we know we can do. These other things, you know, if there's some way we can package it together and add those together, then um, I think you get a better number that way where you're adding things into it, trying to subtract stuff out. I think the bids don't quite seem to reflect that correctly in my experience anyway.
Well, and
So-
isn't it the case that really 3 classrooms would replace all of the need? So maybe we do a base bid of the shell and 2, and then an ad for each additional separately, not as a lump.
Correct.
Because it may be that we can pull off one and then have an unfinished one, but
That's-
not all.
Yeah, I was waiting for, for the moment, but that's right. The 3 is what we need
The
to.
3 is what
yeah,
we need.
yeah.
Yeah.
4 would definitely be, you know, and looking at the spaces and talking, Mr. Hunter's on here as well. I mean, he can
Okay.
attest to that. So, yeah, and I agree. I think looking at the options is what we need to do and figure out what we can go from there. So,
But we just need to move forward
Yeah.
at this point.
yep, absolutely.
And Dr. Garrett, just for
Yep.
logistics, where are you going to pull this money from? To make sure we balance our bills.
I thought about being a little bit smart there, but yeah, I'm not going to do that. So with our fund balance this last year, we were sitting right on almost 2.2 million with our fund balance. So we could certainly pull it from there and get by, and then replenish as we go, you know, trying to pull back from other areas. If we have the opportunity with the ESSER 3 funding, it allows you to do builds like this. You know, so I would definitely try to replenish that. Now, that would be our first year allocation. There's about an 80% flow through, which is about 998,000. And then there's 20% learning loss, which is about 250,000. So as we go through this and, you know, this is looking at our needs, what our community needs in collaboration with our, you know, stakeholders as well. And it's a need that we have with the district. So we could do that. We'd have to apply to the state with this plan and you know, have them approve it so we could use that. But that I haven't heard of that being an issue. So, you know, we don't know that for sure. We could get by without that. If we ended up with 0 of that money, it would be tight. You know, I think we could replenish it in a few years. But we'd have to tighten our belt on some of the projects in the summer and use some of our forest funds towards that, which we've been doing roughly 300,000 a year towards projects in the summer. And those are roofs and doors, those type of things. This last year, we didn't do anything. So we are currently using basically that money for the AC units that we're putting in, AC and heat units at Orofino High School and Elementary School. So that'll kind of go out as a wash. As we get that money next year, that'll be another, you know, 300,000 we could put towards this. It's almost 300,000. So we could actually put that towards it. We use a little bit of that money every year to help balance our budget, depending on the year, how food service does, or even with a little bit of IT, some of those things we have to replenish some of those items out. 70 to 90,000 some years, sometimes less. So we have, you know, a couple $100,000 there we could replenish towards it every year for the next few years. But we'd have to manage that and make sure we're not, you know, not helping other buildings. So we're not sacrificing elsewhere just to cover this. So I think we can manage it. You know, if I look at it like on a 10-year plan, it's a very doable thing. I think we could probably do it in 5. Honestly, with some of the savings that we're experiencing, or we will be with even some of the heating systems and those things going in are going to save us quite a bit on our heating and cooling bills. So those are just some areas that we can take. But yeah, it would just have to be a cash out deal right now. And this federal money would certainly help if it comes through.
And by any chance, have you notified the accountant of what we're doing or contemplating doing?
Notified who?
The accountant. As
Yeah.
I only say, yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So yeah, just a real quick, yeah, this is what we're thinking about doing.
Mhm.
But yeah, nothing official at this point. You know, we
Sure.
were in
But,
design,
and he didn't say, oh, you know, wait,
No.
or, okay.
No,
And I know we have it there and we've built up this
right.
60-day buffer that
Yep.
we've we've had a goal of for the last 10 years. And we actually have reached that 60-day buffer.
Yeah.
We're about to take it down to 30
Yeah.
days.
Well, and that's really, I
Okay.
mean, that's kind of why we do it, because you can't do
Yeah.
that annually. There's just too much. Some of these projects are too big to really have that savings annually and really take care of that. You've got to, sometimes you have to let it build up and then take that bite out and then let it build up
Mhm.
again. And it's a hard management thing. I agree with you. And it's hard to say, yeah, let's spend this money. But you also have to realize that those students at Timberline have been in a trailer for a lot of years. And, there's something to be said for doing what's right for kids too. And I don't like to use that a lot, but it's true. So, these kids deserve it as well. And that hard roof would be an investment that we're not going to have to replenish in 10 years. We could easily go in and, spend $100,000 and put another unit in, and patch it up and make it work. But, I think the investment is where we're headed. I mean, I want to do things right. And I think you guys do too. So, I think it'll be tough. One of the things that's kind of protected on this new ESSER money, or it's actually the ARP money, is that 20% learning loss will go back to the students each year that we get that for the next 2 years. So that is a must. So that money will be invested into our kids throughout the district. And then we have 80% that's a flow through that would work for projects or, improvements, those type of things.
So I do a lot better if I can see that
Mhm.
sort of strategy.
Yep.
And so I wonder, is there a way to
Sure.
to draw some circles and arrows around the different funds
Mhm.
and identify that plan? I'm in total support of the project.
Yep.
And believe it's the right thing to do, but not having been involved in budgeting and
Mhm.
know the numbers of the past, it would be nice for me to see that trail of reimbursement.
Right. Yeah. And I think, Charity, you brought up a good point. We've got a couple of years left on our, the existing bond issue. I believe that we had, there was $1 million bond we did, and I think it's been 8 years ago, 7 or 8.
Mhm.
So that'll free up in a couple of years, that 100,000 that we're, 125,000 that we're primarily out every year. I mean, that was money that was spent up front. Now we're currently paying it back.
Correct.
So that will free that up, and that'll add to it as well. So I'm confident, with our funding and how we're managing at this point. It's never easy to say no to people and be tight, but it's one of those things that if we want to have, good facilities and good things going on and keep our wages higher and the benefits, we have to sacrifice a few things to do that. So we're trying to do that as we go.
I don't want to rush things prematurely, but if we're going to vote and everybody's comfortable, that would be great. Because I have to get them into a class right now. You're going to lose me. Or if you want to vote without me, that's fine.
Are there any
Think
other questions?
Yeah. For anybody or anything. It's a big undertaking. We're not to the point of no return. I
Right.
mean, this is if we're going to do something, if we're going to seriously consider, we need to be moving forward now. And that's my recommendation as we move forward with Jerry and get this put together so we can get the official bid packets ready to go.
We'll have a lot more details after
Mhm.
that's done,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
So, Madam Chair, I would make the motion that we move forward with finalizing the plans with Mr. Rotnoff and putting bids out.
Bid package.
That'll
bid
come.
package together. Is
Yeah.
that-
Putting a big package together. Yep.
A bid
Yep.
package together based on the shell, 2 classrooms at a minimum, and add alternate for each of the 3rd and 4th classrooms.
I'll second.
So it's been moved and seconded to continue moving forward with the architectural designs and putting together a bid package to include the 2 classrooms with a shell and additional bids for classrooms 3 and 4. Does that sound right?
That sound good to you?
Okay.
That's what you said, right? Yep.
Did that sound correct? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Cool.
Thanks. I'm going to sign off. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank
Okay.
you, Angie. So I would suggest we keep an eye on your time frame when those
Yep.
bid packages are ready to be approved. If certainly if we can shoot for that next board meeting in May, but if it's done before then I don't have any objections to adding on a quick meeting like this just to approve it.
Heck, let's do it next Monday. We've had 3 in a row. Why not 4?
I know, I realized that today. So I don't know if we'll be ready for next Monday.
No.
From the sounds of it, he might need 2 or 3 weeks. So
Yeah, I think we're gonna be a lot closer by your 17th of May meeting anyway. So
Okay.
we'll just get rocking and rolling on it then. So
If we can do it beforehand, Jerry, we'll be in touch, obviously. And if you're prepared before then, I'm actually going to be out of district the 7th through the 12th. So if that happens, I can certainly zoom in and do a meeting if we need to get it rolling. I want to keep it going if we can, but.
well, I had a couple questions as we're moving forward. I know that there's been some people. There's a couple people that come to mind when I come to wanting to ask. One of them's John Anderson for grading, and I don't know what's his availability. If we can have some of this stuff pre-done, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he dropped his public works license though, Jerry.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, so Carl Stemrich is local and has a public works license and may be available. We're really hurting for public works locally. Chris Traylor is public works licensed.
Okay.
There's a firm out of Kamiah that's public works. I think it's Spark something. I know there's another small public works, but they're just getting public works license, so I don't know about so we do have some local options.
Yeah. One of the big costs is going to be plywood or OSB. And I'm wondering if we could approach, some of the larger companies, maybe Home Depot or somebody like that. I don't know.
I'm on it. So I've had a conversation with the mills at Empire for the dimensional, and we just need to put together a proposal. So yeah, I'm more than happy to jump on that bandwagon.
And so it would be really neat if we could dovetail some of the dimension lumber along with Barlow with the trusses that might help them. I don't know. I'm going to ask Patrick there if that's possible.
Let me know.
Yeah, so what we
We'll
need to
work on
do is Michael, you and I
Yep.
need to sit down and put together pull all that information out in particular, and then put together a proposal with you have a nice
Mhm.
rendition of what we're after and make that presentation formal. I'm
Yep.
happy to do that.
Me too. Yeah, we'll do that. So yeah, if you can be involved in that as well, Jerry, to help us separate that out. I know you've got that on you've got a program for that. We can recreate it, or if you give us that, we'd be glad to move.
Well,
it on.
I can get a list of a bill of materials list is what you're asking for,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
For Empire especially, right? And
Yep.
probably
Yeah,
the-
from the dimensional wood standpoint,
Yep.
yeah, Jerry, and that would include the stuff for the truss, because when we actually bid, when we advertise, which we haven't approved that, correct?
No.
It's just the package.
no.
So we can be working on that in the meantime,
Mm-hmm.
and when we get to a yes, or what we get to can be included in that.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's part of the reason why I talked to Barlow and them is because they can build floor trusses which don't have OSB in them. So they're just basically 2x4s, and then they're connected with connectors. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's kind of a neat thing. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's the game plan so far. So
Okay. Well, we'll be in touch. We'll start rolling through these. That's what I was waiting for tonight to really do that, those serious inquiries. So we'll get it.
Yeah, I wonder if we
Okay.
could even look at plywood, Jerry, and go to Potlatch Deltic and St. Mary's.
yeah,
I'm working on a project that will benefit their school right now. So we may get a win-win-win.
do you have a contact with them?
I will get one.
Perfect. All right, Chris, that sounds great.
Awesome.
okay. Thank you,
Awesome.
everybody. Any other questions
Thanks.
or? No?
That's it. Thank you
Great.
all for your time.
Thank you.
We'll be in
Have a
touch.
Thank
good
you.
evening. Okay. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
This has been a Monday.
I know.
I'm sorry I was late. Sorry.